This situation just got crazier as the Winnipeg Jets sneak out of a 7-game series against the St. Louis Blues. They have a ton of injuries and a ton of question marks heading into their next series against the Dallas Stars. We're going to break down what those questions are and some updates on the injuries in this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 72% of you who watch these videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the Winnipeg Jets as they move towards the second round and maybe a third round appearance in this year's playoffs, and every other team in the NHL, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It is down below and it is free. You get to stay up to date with everything going on around the league. But KC, let's get into it. The Jets, let's call it what it was. They snuck past the St. Louis Blues there into the second round. Crazy Game 7. Credit where credit is due. Coming back from down 2 goals with a minute left. I mean, absolutely unbelievable performance. But there's a lot of question marks heading into this next series. And one of them is health. We'll get to that in a second. And of course, Connor Hellebuyck. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it at this point. But the Jets get a couple of days of rest here. Their next series only starts on Wednesday. They're getting a full day off today. They will skate on Tuesday before the series, and we saw a couple injuries in this series and late in this series as well. It looks like Mark Scheifele, I mean, there's no timetable for his return at this point. He missed Game 6 and 7, and, you know, there's health concerns for Josh Morrissey, who's listed as out right now with no timetable either. So what do you make of the Jets' performance in Game 7, obviously getting past the St. Louis Blues into the second round, and do you think they're going to be able to make some noise against another injured team in the Dallas Stars?
I definitely think they got a shot here. I mean, they didn't make it easy on themselves last night. I mean, going down 2-0, tying it, saving their season with, what was it, 1.6 or 1.7 seconds left on the clock to then go a whole extra period and into a second extra one in overtime to then win it from the captain, Adam Lowry. It was an electric game last night. I gotta say, it was probably one of the best hockey games that I've ever watched live. I thought it was such a great game, and any team could have won that game last night. There's no doubt about it. And fortunately, the Winnipeg Jets did come out on top. And like you said, you know, there's a lot of questions surrounding this team. I mean, obviously, Morrissey went down in that game, didn't come back. And we got Scheifele, who was held out of that game. And Hellebuyck's just, you know, poor performance in the net just keeps creeping in game to game. Yes, I did think he settled in later in the game and looked like himself. But like you said, Dallas themselves have some injuries. One of their best players in Jason Robertson, Miro Heiskanen, both out for them as well. So it seems like we're going to be seeing a little bit both teams with Band-Aids on both sides, and I think they're going to match up pretty good.
Absolutely, and there are injuries on the other side. We're going to do a preview video in a little bit as well, so stay tuned for that on the channel. We'll, you know, kind of break down how both teams, you know, fare against each other going into the second round, although Dallas looks like they might get some players back for the second round, so that's going to be very interesting. But in terms of the game last night, like you said, an incredible game and a very gutsy performance from the Jets, because your goaltender does not start off the game well. Actually, he didn't settle in until the third period, I thought, to be honest, even though the Jets did play a good second period. Didn't settle in, but then you're only playing with 5 defensemen for the entire game. I mean, Neil Pionk played almost 50 minutes in that game. Absolutely insane performance, and I wanted to get into some quotes as well from some of the players last night. And this is Adam Lowry, the captain of the team, and a gutsy performance from him, obviously scoring the overtime winner. He went on to say, "I probably dreamt it was a little nicer than just going off my leg, but it's one of those things on the outdoor rink in the driveway. You dream about being the hero in a Game 7 and giving yourself a chance to continue chasing a Stanley Cup." And another quote from Cole Perfetti, the guy who tied the game with 1 second left. Absolutely insane. Even down 3-1, there was no doubt. We had belief in one another and belief that we were going to come back. I'm just so proud of this group and so proud to be a part of it. So, Casey, I'm going to throw it to you again. I mean, did that game show something about this Jets team that even through the injuries, even through all the noise with Connor Hellebuyck, and it's not even noise at this point. He hasn't been playing well, right? But he maybe, you know, he gets over the mental block. He can have a good second round series here. You know, does this show something about this team that they can go on and win even with all these injuries? Because again, Josh Morrissey is a big part of this team, but does this show something about this team?
Yeah, no about it. It shows something that a lot of other teams haven't shown yet, and that is that this team has heart. They have the fight. They have to drive to when they're down in a game to not, you know, dwell in it and say, "Oh, we're down 2-0. We have no shot in this game. We're down 2 goals. going into the last minute and a half of this game. And, they didn't get down on themselves. They picked it up. They fought. They battled. They got one goal with the goalie out. Then they were like, okay, we got, under a minute to get another goal. And what did they do? Wait to the very last second of the game to do this. And this is something that you can't teach, is having the heart as a group of players to not sit on the bench and whine about maybe missing calls, whine about anything that's happening in the game, but just to suck it all up, go out there, put everything on the line to save your season. And that's what we seen out of this Jets team last night. And this is what gives me a lot of hope for the Winnipeg Jets going into the second round, is that they did this last night. Very kind of miracleistic, I would say. It was like a miracle for them to pull this off last night. And they have all that momentum now going into the Dallas series that I think there's not going to be, it's going to be hard to stop this team going forward. Just, having a performance like that just gives you such a boost. You're kind of sitting in the locker room like, how do we do that after this game? And I think Scott Oak had a great dad quote after the game last night, saying you won the game by the seam of your pants, because they really did. It went off his legs. So I think it's just great to see this group pick it up, have that mentality and that drive to just go out there and get the job done no matter what the circumstances are.
Absolutely. And after all of that, they get very minimal rest. You're already starting on Wednesday and you go pretty much every other day after that. So it's going to be pretty incredible to watch. And again, I mean, the resolve in this team, it was pretty incredible. A lot of people were saying you can't win with Connor Hellebuck. I mean, I was even saying it. Connor Hellebuck playing that way, you can't win. Adam Lowry being essentially your first line center, I don't know if you can win, but what a player he is, what a captain, what a leader. So, great performance there. And obviously Montgomery and Arneal in the handshake line, some pleasantries, shared there as well. And they went on to say, what an effing series. And it really was. It was the best series, I have to say, Casey. I don't know how you feel about it. It was the best series of the first round. It went the longest. It went all 7 games. It was the most physical. I think there was the most, drama in it, storylines, whatever you want to call it, with one goaltender playing great, one goaltender not playing great, and obviously a bunch of injuries. How do you feel? Was it the best? I think it was the best series.
Oh, no doubt it was the best series of the first round. I mean, you had the hottest team at the beginning of the season in the Winnipeg Jets against the hottest team coming into the playoffs in the St. Louis Blues. You knew that this series was going to be fireworks. We didn't know it was going to be this good. We didn't know it was going to go to double overtime in Game 7. I mean, that is just stuff you dream about. And it's just so great that we got to see this last night. I mean, the series was just physical. It was a battle, be on the ice from all these different players, the different battles we got to see, the battle of the brothers between the Shen brothers. That's another great storyline that came out of this, and seeing them share some words in the handshake line was awesome last night. And I think this series was really good. And I just want to touch on Hellebuck a little bit, because I think, a lot of people are talking bad on Hellebuck, and for good reason. I mean, he hasn't been himself in this playoffs, and I think everybody can agree with that. But I think last night, that first goal, you can't blame it on it. I mean, he was obviously committing to the shot on that, and then miraculously he got that pass across to an empty net. And then the second goal, maybe you can make a little bit of comments on that, and maybe it's one he should have had. But I think, like you said, we've seen him settle in this third period, and maybe that shifts his mentality. Winning this series, maybe that gives him that little extra boost that he needs to get back on track to the Vezina winning goalie that we know from him. So I think we're going to see a different Hellebuck in this next series, and he's definitely going to have to be better, because this Dallas Stars offense is lethal.
Absolutely. He's going to have to be better. And like you said, I think that he will be at least a little bit better. I think getting past this first round, that mental block, will unlock something for him. And like he even said a couple games ago, nobody studied goaltending more than this guy. So I think that if anyone's going to bounce back, it's probably one of the best goalies in the NHL, at least in the regular season, right? So he hasn't been good. It was a story. We'll see if that continues. But one thing I want to touch on before we wrap up here is some of the unsung heroes of this series. Mason Appleton, nobody's talking about this guy. Third in points on the team for this series. Cole Perfetti, great performance yesterday. Only had 3 points heading into this one on the series. He gets 2 of the biggest points of the entire series. And of course, Nemestikov, a lot of people keep counting him out. We know what Pionk brings to the table. We know Kyle Connor was absolutely electric in this series with 12 points in 7 games. And Mark Scheifele, he's going to be a big miss for this team if he's out for a significant amount of time. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the second round against obviously the Dallas Stars. But we want to hear what you have to say in the comments about the Winnipeg Jets and how they got to this point, because it was a pretty incredible series against the St. Louis Blues, and I don't think things are getting much easier, but I think with the resolve that they've shown, what type of team that they are, they can definitely make their way to the third round. But still, a lot of question marks heading into round 2. But let us know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything Winnipeg Jets and, of course, around the league.